Hi, I'm Brad Dobson. Welcome back to the Path to Profit podcast. I'm here with my partner in crime and wife, Dr. Manette Riordan, and we're thrilled to welcome Kimi Avary today. Welcome, Kimi.
I am so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff.
Yeah, super excited to continue some of the conversations that you and I started. Kimi and I met at the Public Speakers Association conference earlier this summer, and we're going to be sharing the stage at a women's conference in San Francisco coming up in October as well. Really looking forward to that. So lots of fun times and fun connections. And Kimi, I'm super excited to have you on the call today to talk about how our relationships, both personally and professionally, impact our business success. Because at the end of the day, if we're not happy in the bedroom, we're probably not being very successful in the boardroom and vice versa.
Yeah.
So
relationships affect everything, really.
Yeah.
It's a foundation for us. So I'm thrilled to be here to talk to you about this.
I know it's going to be a super, super fun topic. And so I want to share with those of you who are listening or watching on YouTube a little bit about Kimi's background. And I love that she calls herself a relationship navigation specialist because it really is about the journey. There's not a destination. It really is a journey. But Kimi Avary works with men and women who have challenges relating with each other, both personally and professionally. She's been coaching and working with couples to help them save their relationship since 2006, so 20 years of experience. She helps her clients bridge the gap between thoughts, language, and behavior to achieve greater success. She is a licensed coach and NLP practitioner. She has degrees in family studies and human development. This woman is bringing a lot of years of study as well as heart and experience to our conversation today. And one of the things that I love that she says is that she helps men and women navigate and create the harmony they really want. And you have an upcoming book. This is so exciting. Super Genius Teams, which has been endorsed by the relationship king himself, Dr. John Gray, author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So excited to have you here. Congratulations on the upcoming book. Hopefully you'll share a little bit about that. But also just share kind of what are you working on currently? What's new for you? Anything you want to share about what's happening in your world right now?
Well, so I'm always looking for places to speak because I'm thrilled about uplifting the energy on the planet. And I believe that men and women, when we begin to communicate more effectively, personally and in our professional lives, that we will begin to uplift everything by recognizing what treasures we are to each other. So this past weekend, I did a Priestess Rising event about how women can be the priestess in their relationship and bring out the best qualities in their partner by being clear and making great deals. I also work with professional women in small business and also in the corporate world to help them to understand the men they work with so that everybody's doing an upward spiral instead of just tanking into nothing, which is just so frustrating.
So I'm really curious why you're so passionate about relationships and how you got started on this path.
Thank you. I'm incredibly passionate because I suffered so much. I didn't know what I didn't know for many, many years. So I'm 49 now. When I was 38, I began to study about men from a masculine perspective. And it made it possible for me to meet and marry my husband and stay married and do businesses with him and go forward. But it wasn't always that way. I went to 2 weddings of men I was deeply in love with, and I watched them marry other women. And I was confused and I was frustrated and I was hurt and it just was incredibly painful. And I'm a pretty loving person. I'm smart. I'm capable. I'm not bad looking. And I was like, why is this happening? And I discovered that it had to do with my perception of men. I wasn't actually seeing what they were contributing to me. So my interpretation of their behaviors was off. And so because it worked for me, I couldn't stop talking about it. And I began to help my then coaching clients uplift their relationships. And then one day I was like, in 2006, I drew this heart on a flip chart and I went, dating success, and that has evolved into relationship success, into, success in business and all of that, because it's about that partnership.
That's great that you're able to, well, it's not great that you had to go through that, but you're able to bring that perspective.
Yeah.
You're able to bring that perspective, and that it's something that affected you at your core, in your heart. And I'm sure that shines through when you talk with people and work with them.
Yeah.
I guess right off the bat, I'm interested in what the main challenges are you find with couples, especially couples that are in business together. And I suppose that, like you said, that extends to women who are in business directly with other men, but especially couples. We have a unique perspective on that, but I'd love to hear what the main challenges are that people face.
Well, I think that it's really about dueling providers, and it's about this. So as a foundational piece, women typically look at men as a version of themselves. Men typically look at women as a version of themselves.
All right, that's fascinating.
So we see, we've got our own way of looking at it, and we see through that lens, and we think that a man's either doing things we would never do, so we're upset, or not doing things we would absolutely do, and we're upset. And from a masculine perspective, guys look at women and they think, God, why don't you just focus on one thing? Why don't you just, listen or pay attention in a way that I would do it? So, or you're emotionally indulgent. So we've got two people looking at each other and totally misreading the situation. And that's where the conflict comes in.
Sure.
So can you talk more about that concept of dueling providers? It sounds really fascinating. Just give us a little more information and context about that.
Yeah. So every single person, men and women, all have masculine and feminine dynamics. So the masculine is the provider, protector, producer, and the feminine is the supporter, adapter, enhancer. Okay. And they work in harmony. The provider, protector needs a supporter. The supporter needs somebody to uplift, right? So it's a working partnership. And so over the last 100 years, women have been earning their right to vote and equality and all this, and we've been battling for this. And what has happened is we've started to make more money, and we think that accountability in a relationship is tied to money. It's not. It's tied to the masculine who is driven and compelled to provide and protect for the people that they claim are theirs. So when a woman's making more money, she thinks, I'm in charge. And then we have her in masculine mode, and then he's in masculine mode, and they're butting heads instead of being in partnership. You add in a marriage, you add in children, and a woman goes into masculine mode when she's a mother. It's all about taking care of the babies. Think mama bear, right? Yeah. So again, dueling providers. And it boils down to who's accountable for what. And unless that is clear, there's going to be a break in the relationship.
And so how do you initiate that conversation? Because I know that must be just the hardest part when there's conflict like that, is just starting to talk to each other about the conflict. So what do you notice comes up around that conflict and how people are able to navigate through that?
Well, so typically, I work with conscious couples on the verge of divorce and breakup who are trying to figure out if and how they can save their relationship. Yeah. I also work with single people or recovering heartbroken people, right? So they've been divorced, the money has gone down the tanks, they've had all these battles. Yeah. And so it's all about, a big part of what I do is education. Because once you get how men and women commit differently, or see providing and protecting differently, how there are attributes that women bring to the table that often aren't noticed, so we feel unappreciated, or attributes that men bring to the table that go unnoticed. Like, for instance, my father, when I was a teenager, my mom and I would say things like, oh, dad just needs so much appreciation, like it was kind of a gross thing. And yet that's the fuel for providing and protecting. And it's a beautiful thing when you know, and when a man's appreciated for it, oh my God, he would die for us, you know? But unappreciated, they'll sort of wither, and it doesn't feel good to them. It feels like a burden. So,
does that feel true?
Really does that sound?
I have to process that a little bit, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I think it's a really, so I'm curious. It's a great conversation to have. So, because I find that women need appreciation also, but do they just need it differently?
We need it for different things.
Okay.
So, so there are things that we do in the background that men sometimes completely miss because it's not in their realm. So we are, as the supporter adapter in our being, we're often taking care of our environment. We're enhancing the environment. Our partner's going to go off and have a big talk. My husband had a big meeting last Thursday, and I made sure he had his coffee in the morning, and I did what I could do to support him to get out the door and be successful, right? And some of those things feel like they're taken for granted unless he knows what we need appreciation for. Right. And then there are things that they do that they need appreciation for. So I'll give you an example. When my husband and I first got together, I would do his laundry. I felt compelled, which was pretty surprising to me that I felt so compelled to do his laundry. Having gone to Girls 44 Women's College. What's that?
I don't have that problem at all. I'm not compelled to do anybody's laundry.
A landmine. Feel the landmines here.
But it's the little things, right?
Yeah.
So I felt compelled to do his laundry. I wanted to be a good wife, and yet he wasn't appreciating it. And so, and I also had stepkids, right? Art has 2 children. So I had 3 people's laundry instead of my own to do. And that was like a big shift for me. And so I would put his clothes away in the cabinet and in the closet, and he wouldn't see it. So I felt unappreciated. So it didn't feel inspiring. So then I started folding his laundry and putting it on his side of the bed. And he would see it, and he'd go, oh my God, thank you so much for doing my laundry, because he knew I needed appreciation for it. And it just emboldened me and wanted me to do more, which was curious to me. I mean, I was very surprised by my reaction, but the appreciation fueled my desire to want to support him.
Yeah.
Right.
That's such a great example. It's something so simple. Like one of the things that I do without even thinking is I'm always thinking about dinner for the next day. And I'm taking something out of the freezer in the morning to make sure that dinner happens. No one else in the family thinks that way. Right.
Right.
Isn't that just because you wanted to accept traditional gender roles? Or
Well, funny that you say that, because in my work, I work with couples to make the deals that make both of them feel enlivened and inspired. That's really my mission.
Yeah.
And so when you know what she needs appreciation for, and she knows what you need appreciation for, then we can create that upward spiral.
Right.
And it may turn into a traditional looking relationship, but I'm not an advocate for just starting. You have to sit down and go, okay, so now we're going to do it traditionally.
Right.
Oh boy, we've got a lot of culture saying women should be strong and powerful and do this, and it's not okay if you do that. Whatever your impulse is. Like my brother and his wife, she was making a lot more money, so he became a stay-at-home dad. He was making the same amount as a daycare would cost. So it made more sense for them to do it that way. And they made their own unique deal. And I'm an advocate for people making their own unique deals in partnership and feeling like they're both the cat that ate the canary. They're getting the best side of it.
Yeah.
And it's utilizing their skills and their desires, and that's where you get the harmony.
That's great.
So are you seeing more and more that gender roles are more fluid than they have been in the past, and that is both great for relationships and creates conflict?
I think exactly. It is more fluid. And I know that men love to contribute to their partner. We love to contribute. And if the roles are shifting, for instance, one person's the entrepreneur and the other one person's bringing in more money, you have to understand how for instance, the person in masculine mode is contributing. So I worked with a guy one time who felt like he was a total failure.
Yeah.
He had never made a ton of money. He had managed the money badly. He felt like he was a failure. And his partner was the breadwinner. And so we dissected kind of what he was contributing. And he happens to be an amazing gardener. And he's really into organic vegetables and food and making sure everything's sustainable and all of that for their child and his partner. And when I acknowledged him for what he was providing for them, literally his shoulders went back, his stature changed. He felt confident in what he could contribute.
Right.
That he hadn't even seen what he was contributing. And he'd been deflated, and a deflated man isn't going to be a good producer.
There's some bad puns in there.
What's that?
Yeah, right.
Exactly, right?
Man.
Like deflated.
I did not mean it that way.
Holy wow. We got to get this back on track soon.
So I want to bring it around. You mentioned it earlier, and especially around the concept of providers. But one of the things we work on a lot with our clients at the Path to Profit Academy is money mindset. And I know you're really passionate about helping couples and singles understand their relationship with money. So can you talk a little bit about how you connect the concept of relationship and money?
Well, so, the model I work with has to do with the hunters and the gatherers, right? Mm-hmm. So the hunters are about producing, like we've been talking about that, and the gatherers are about gathering. So we have this diffuse awareness that pours into every direction. So, and commitment is different for the masculine and feminine. So for instance, a man, the masculine energy is about getting the deer, right? And staying on track, single focused, committed. You don't get the deer if you're not committed, right? The gatherer, if we commit based on circumstance. So the weather's changing and there's not going to be chanterelle mushrooms out in the meadow this year because the weather's changed. So you're looking for berries or you're looking for other edible things. So we're constantly adapting to the world. So how does that fit in with money? Well, if you try to create a budget, for instance, and the tighter the budget, the impulse to gather supplies for the cold winter is stronger. So she goes out and spends a bunch, gathering food and supplies and resources. And he's like, why can't we stick and stay committed to this budget? Yeah. Right? Now, of course, that can be reversed because the man might be more feminine and the woman might be more masculine. But making a deal on that where each person feels satisfied. So a model that I really like is where you take each person's income and you put it together, and then from there, then you give an allowance to each person, right? So it's maybe $50 or $500, whatever that allowance number is. That's what you get to go play with and have fun with.
I see.
And then the rest of the money is going toward building for the future, right? But often what happens is there's a confusion because, she's sort of sneaking money or he's sneaking money because there's a deprived feeling. But making a deal about how much we can get away with spending, and it can be $1. I mean, it doesn't, if you're starting out with nothing, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. But you have to feel in some way like you're nourishing your playful side, right?
Right.
And then you can be on the path of working together. But whatever those numbers are for you, it's about making that deal so that each person feels satisfied in that process. Does that make sense?
That's a great structure.
Yeah.
It actually kind of leads me towards the one question I was going to ask. So we see quite often with our clients or potential clients the desire to, especially for the wife who's an entrepreneur, a creative entrepreneur, the desire to get her husband out of a job that he doesn't like anymore. And this was our desire for quite a while for me. And we finally achieved that, and we're super excited about that. I quit my job in January. And
congratulations.
Congratulations.
You. That's huge.
Thank you. And so we're, like I said, we're intimately aware of what it means to not just have the main breadwinner quit their job, but then also to both be working in the same house all the time. We do have separate offices. So what do you, what type of, not so much warnings, but what structure can people put in place to understand what they're getting into? And I'll say one more thing, is that I had so many friends and colleagues, and they still continue to do this, say to myself, and I know Manette as well.
I get this from all of my friends.
Wow. They're very taken aback. They cannot understand, they can't picture themselves in their current relationship with their spouse ever working together, let alone working in the same house. They'll say outright, I could never work in the same house as my wife. And I never had that concern. We have a wonderful relationship, and it's actually, I feel like our relationship is continuing to grow, but I'd like to be able to provide our clients or your listeners, what is it, not just they know what they're getting into, but how can they make that transition more effective?
Well, I think it's about making deals around it, right? And so
I love that concept of making deals. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you have to sit down and unpack it. So if you had it all your way, or you had it all your way, what would that look like? Yeah. What would it be like? So for instance, my husband and I, and it's a constant refining. So he manages his Macintosh repair stores. He also is a scuba dive instructor. And the latest thing is that he wants to buy a catamaran so that we can lead couples retreats out on the water in the Bahamas.
Wow. Nice.
Wow. And sign us up. We'll be there.
Yeah, includes scuba diving and the relationship coaching and education, and just have an incredible time.
That's so cool.
So we're going to a boat show at the beginning of October, and we might end up walking away from Baltimore with a boat, which is crazy.
Wow.
But exciting.
Yeah, considering that's like all the way across the entire United States.
Yeah. And the thing is that we need, we're in the process of making a business plan to go with it, to be very clear about what our expectations are about it. Mm-hmm. And so what it would look like, and because we've never done this, we don't know what pitfalls we might come into. Right. So having a structure in place so that we can talk about it and make sure that if you had it your way and I had it my way, what would that look like? And be able to refine it. So for instance, because I work out of the house and doesn't have to be in a store unless he's has to go do payroll or something, not very often. And he's sometimes away on a scuba diving trip at this point. The rest of the time he's at home. So I had to have a conversation with him the other day about morning time. That's my most productive time.
Right.
And I can't linger over a cup of coffee with him first thing in the morning. Yeah. And so he said to me, well, I'm glad you said something. All you need to say is, hey, I've got to focus this morning, and I'm going to be quiet, and you're going to go off to your office and do your work. But it's managing the energy, managing the space, managing expectations. And of course, if you're involved and always on each other's experience, it becomes, you have to set times and away from the work environment to be together as a couple. Right. So those are all agreements that you have to make. Are you going to take an afternoon if you're working both from home? okay, so in the afternoon, we both have a little bit of energy left and we want to be intimate. And so we're going to have that be our date time. It doesn't have to be nighttime.
Right.
I mean, as entrepreneurs, we're sometimes what I call chief cook and bottle washer.
Right.
We're doing everything. And so there's not really an off button. So how do you make sure that your relationship romantically is nurtured, where you're giving each other enough touch and making enough connection? Like I even recommend a daily connection ritual.
Right.
16 minutes, some eye gazing, some sharing, some appreciation. And that just connects you enough that you're keeping your romance alive as you're doing your business.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say it's always surprises me when I tell people how excited I am that Brad quit his job in January to come work with me full time. And for me, it's this huge success, right? It was like something we've longed for a long time. We made it happen. And every time it's not, how's the business going? It's like, oh, really? How's it going for you? So like Brad said, people can't imagine it. But the other thing we see, Kimmy, that I really find heartbreaking and where I feel that you could also support our community is these women entrepreneurs who are very passionate about their businesses and they don't have spouses who are supportive of their business, that see their business as a hobby. Like we didn't set out to model what it would look like to be couplepreneurs. It's just how we show up. And we love how we're showing up. And we constantly are getting this reflected back to us. Oh, I wish my spouse, it's not always a husband either, but I wish my spouse were more supportive, or I wish my spouse really understood what I was doing. I wish my spouse would take me seriously. And so I'm curious, how do you support your clients in just starting the conversation with their spouse?
Well, first of all, you have to understand that there is a better way. You may not have found it yet. And that's what I teach, right? I teach the skills on finding that better way to have the communication. So you have to know that, first of all, you have to know that there's a better way. Second of all, you have to have the courage to have the conversations. It's not easy to unpack and make those deals.
Yeah.
However, the fruit is on the other side of that process.
Right.
And so like with art, we've had a couple different meltdowns, experiences in this long journey of 11 years. And when we first were together, when we were dating, he was super supportive. And then we moved in together and things shifted because we had the huge burden of the house that we bought together. And so there was another shift. And so I actually looked for a job for a long time. And like, I consider myself slightly unemployable because I have my vision. I can't do anything but my vision. And so having a conversation where I'm able to enroll him into supporting me in my vision has been invaluable. I mean, like it has been so important, and it's taken time to learn how to do that. And that's part of what I teach my clients to do, especially in small business entrepreneurial relationships. You've got to make those deals. And part of it starts with setting a time to talk, having a conversation about what you need and being clear about what you need. Often we present it from the problem side instead of, hey, this is what I truly need. I need support here. I need you to say, God, honey, you look great. Go get him when you go speak today, right? I need you to use my time wisely. So look at my calendar. I've got a big window in the afternoon. Say, hey, I want a date afternoon, help me, help you, help us make the deals, and be on the same page. But it took a while to get there,
right?
Because there's always refinement. And now that I'm speaking a lot more and I've got a lot more clients, I'm working on working smarter. So as I'm creating the systems for my business and evolving those from, it's a constant evolution.
Right.
My goal is to free up the time so we have more time together. And his job is to support me in doing that and reminding me, hey, honey, I'm here. I love you. Let's go play.
Yeah.
Which is why we're looking at the catamaran. So.
Right.
Yeah, we went.
I love that. Sorry, it just feels like a beautiful integration of your two passions, interests, and visions.
I was just going to say, I mean, we definitely went through those struggles with Manette's first job. I was working full time, 2 little kids. she had her own entrepreneurial deal, and we didn't have that structure. We didn't have the
tools. We didn't have the tools.
Yeah,
to have
sort of the emotional and
conversation.
relationship tools. And it would have helped things at the time.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And so you as a provider, like you're holding down the job. One of those big challenges, and I think it's pretty funny, is that, I mean, it's funny in a very sad way. Women often, we're looking at men, we're like, do what's inspiring to you. If you hate your job, quit. And he's going, I have babies to feed. Are you kidding me? Like, so men will keep working and working and working and working and working in that provider role until they see the opening. And actually the other day, Art finally said to me, or not finally, but he said to me, being in a relationship with you has supported me in living my dreams. And I am so grateful for your encouragement in doing that. And it was rocky. He was not born an entrepreneur. He'd had the 9-to-5 job for a long time. So he's had to develop the entrepreneurial skills.
Yeah.
And it's great. Yeah, exactly. And it's a beautiful thing to do that, but it's a leap. And having Manette lead you in that, because she's done it. She's been doing it for years. She can support you in being successful for yourself.
And part of the challenge is I've been doing it for so long, I forgot what it was like to be the beginner and to have, and actually I never had a corporate job the way he did. I was a teacher. I've always had my own business. And so just noticing what did you call it? The cubicle mindset, right? Of working in that environment and that community was like for me, just listening to him share what those struggles are and going, oh, yeah, here's how I can support you in that, or how can I support you in that? So just being open to those conversations. And I think we're better at it. One of the things that saves our marriage over and over again, especially back when things were bad and we were almost bankrupt and our last business was failing, is that at that point we ran a couple of half marathons together. But now we walk a lot. We spent, a couple of hours out walking, brainstorming.
Ambulatory therapy.
We're out of the
house. Oh my gosh.
We're, there's no kids interrupting us. We live in this incredibly beautiful place in Santa Barbara, California.
But you can't, if any couples out there, young couples, you cannot stay mad at somebody if you're walking beside them for hours a day.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Well, couples who, I talk about the 25% rule in relationships. You have to have at least a 25% overlap of shared activities, and walking together and brainstorming ideas. What a fabulous thing, because it's good for your nervous system. It's being outside in nature. And I don't know, do you hold hands when you walk?
Sometimes, yes, but I tend to talk like this even when I'm walking. So for those of you that are listening, I talk with my hands. Even though you can't see me, I talk with my hands a lot.
Yeah,
so, but yeah. And we stop and smooch along the path. And
that's me, because I'm a ridiculous romantic. But
he is. He's way more romantic than I am.
Yeah, I have to pull it out of her.
Well, I love that. And you pause. Well, and Manette, you've been providing for your business, right? And so the walking gets you into your body, and you can be more feminine then. And you're so good at reaching over and giving her a kiss and letting her know that you want to be present with her and you love her. And that's just touch. You can't touch someone without being touched. And a 20-second kiss releases endorphins.
Yeah.
So there are things that you can do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Art and I hug each other, a couple times a day, in terms of intentionally giving a nice big squeeze. And then I go back and do my thing, and he goes and does his thing. And that's just an incredibly powerful thing that we can do for each other as our in the partnership.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I know you have so many tools and tips and tricks to share with people that are navigating relationships, but is there a favorite one that you always love to share to help people get started?
Yeah. The favorite one I would say is be intentional. Okay. So set aside time to just talk about your relationship as if it's sort of a business arrangement. Like if you were in business, you would talk about business and the business of our relationship. How much time do you need together? How much time do you need in order to feel loved? How much touch? How much alone time? How much togetherness time? Sit down and unpack that for yourselves in terms of how you can both be successful in your personal together time and also in your businesses. And when you do that, then you can make some deals.
You know why I love that is, everybody always says that it's not like babies come with an instruction manual. And
neither do relationships.
Neither. And when you say, I love the way you're talking about analyzing this stuff, putting structure to it. And of course that appeals to my brain because
he likes structure.
I'm big on systems and structure. I'm a software engineer from years back, but I like that this is like a manual. It's you're providing people with this is how you can do this in a sort of a regular fashion and get the results that you want. I mean, it sounds like you're selling something on QVC, but really, it's you're investing in a relationship for the rest of your life, and you can make it work better. You can level it up, like you said, spiral it up by just applying simple techniques. That's neat.
Yeah,
it is. And I would have to say for anybody that's listening, so Brad and I have worked with a number of different relationship coaches over the years, and we're huge fans of getting help in your marriage when it's not, or any other relationship when it's not going the way you want. And so Kimi,
or even is when it is,
or
going
even when
right.
It's going well, up-leveling it, but just really want to applaud you for the work that you're doing in the world. It's so needed. And I love that it's not putting people in traditional roles. It really is looking at what's the role that you are playing currently, and do you want to play that role? Like we're at the place where Brad's like, I don't want to keep playing the provider role. I want to have more fluidity, more flexibility. So I'm more the provider. I'm on the road traveling and speaking, and and so that seeing that shift, and we're working our way through that shift and happy with that shift. I think. And I loved your stories. I want to just really also thank you for sharing your stories about your relationship with art, because I think it gives hope to people like our story does, that it is possible to have the relationship that you want. And it is possible to be successful couples in business, or if you're an entrepreneur, to have a partner who really supports you.
Yeah. And it's all, to me, I use the word navigation very specifically because the waters change.
Yeah.
Someone's got a health issue. Somebody's, they get fired from their job. The company restructures. They want to restructure. They want more alone or more play time because they've been working a lot, right? Any of those things need a new structure, and it's a constant evolution, and that's the beauty of it. When you have the skills, the right skills, then you can navigate it and come out the other side and keep creating an upward spiral. Then you get to be 10, 20, 30, 50 years in your partnership and beyond. And you've built this co-created experience that's conscious and alive and vibrant. And it's how you handle the challenges and how you move through them to the other side that is where the growth is and where the possibility lies. And a lot of people give up. They give up because they're afraid, and they're afraid of what's next. But you'll never get to what's next in terms of your partnership if you keep checking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're not willing to
do the work,
do some personal growth as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been just an amazing conversation. We could talk to you all day. You're such an inspiration and a great speaker. And I know that you have a free gift to share with people in case they want to connect with you and learn a little bit more about what you are up to. Where can they tell us a little bit about that gift?
Well, so the gift is a complimentary relationship breakthrough session. And it's really an opportunity for us to get to know each other, for you to get some tips and tools that you can use right away in your relationship and uplift it to, once you apply the tools, you see results right away. And it's for people who want to have a better relationship. It's not for you if you're ready to give up and you just don't want it. and you're already out emotionally, it's really not for you. It's for you. Well, and I say that, and I've worked with people who were convinced they were out, and they went back to the relationship, and they're back together, and it's thriving. So we turn relationships around.
Sure.
And you'll learn how, you'll get clarity about what it is you truly desire and what's possible. And that's what the offer is. It's 60 minutes for a single person, 90 minutes for a couple.
Nice.
Regularly, the investment in that is $500 for that.
Oh, wow.
So it's a special gift for your audience to get the expert support and advice. And they can get it at KimiAvary.com/win. And I'm KIMI, A, V as in Victor, A as in Apple, RY.com/win. And you can request a complimentary relationship breakthrough session there.
For
your business or your personal life.
Very awesome. We'll have that in the show notes, KimiAvary.com/win. And so your upcoming book, is that pre-order available on Amazon yet? We can put that link in?
Not quite ready yet for that, but It will be there. I'll let you know when it is.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Tell us a little bit about the book and the concept for the book and what you're working on, and then we'll let you go. We could keep you all day, Kimi, but
no, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. You two are so much fun to talk to.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So Super Genius Teams is built on a program that I did started at Shell Oil called Workplace Navigation System for men and women in the engineering department, so that they can collaborate, communicate, and create successful projects and up the bottom line. Companies spend an incredible amount of money training the women. They're recruiting them, training them, and then the women end up leaving because they don't know how to work with the men. So Super Genius Teams is targeted toward the corporate environment, and it's epically applicable to partnerships of men and women, husband and wife teams,
I'm sure,
in business.
Nice.
And especially if you're working side by side in your different businesses or working together in the same business. We're talking about how men speak and listen differently, how they view interruptions, how they can be heard. There's a lot of work with Sheryl Sandberg wrote a book called Lean In, and it's one thing to say to women, lean in, but how do you do it successfully so that you're uplifted in the process?
Yeah.
And your point is getting across, and you don't come across as some of the negative connotations that women who are thrust into a masculine mode, but they don't know how to navigate the world with men successfully, they get labeled, and those labels aren't very pretty.
No.
So it's all about how to be, like, for me, it's about breaking through the glass ceiling to the other side, but it's more about moving beyond it into partnership.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to take away today this whole visual of spiraling upwards in our lives with ourselves, our lives with our partners, our lives with our businesses. It's such a beautiful imagery to always imagine ourselves just always spiraling upwards. So Kimi, thank you so much for your time, for your talent, for your vision, and for your huge heart for changing relationships. It's been an honor to have you on today.
Well, it's been such a pleasure to be with you both. And I adore what you're about. I think that getting this conversation about money is so important. And so the work that you are both doing is really fabulous too.
Awesome.
And I'm so grateful to have spent the time with you.
Thanks. Yes. Thanks again, Kimi.
So I'm Manette. This is Brad. We're PathToProfitAcademy.com to find out more about our upcoming events, and especially our Path to Profit Design Your Roadmap to Success Summit. We have a couple of more of those scheduled for 2016. Come spend 3 days with us. The next one is here in beautiful Santa Barbara on the beach, and we'll be doing one in December in Los Angeles. This is 3 days spent working on your business so you can get exactly what Kimi was talking about, the clarity and the plan and the process, because everything comes with clarity. Once you're really clear about what you want to create, whether it's in your partnership or in your business, you can get on the path to profit and stay there.
Great stuff.
That's right.
See ya.
Yeah.